Welcome back, Careblazer. It's good to be back. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to respond and how to handle when things are outside of your control and the one thing that is always in your control. There are so many things that are outside of our control when it comes to dementia care. Now, you know, and I've talked about it in many of my videos, our own behavior, our own communication style, nonverbals, that has an impact on our loved ones. It can make our loved ones' behavior worse, and it can make our loved ones' behavior better. It can help calm them down when they're scared. However, there are times that I acknowledge that no matter what you do, you could be using all of the right techniques. You could be responding to them and showing all of the right nonverbal cues. You can be doing everything right with your communication and your approach, and in some situations, it's just not going to seem to have any impact on your loved one. So those can be difficult times because you literally seem like you have no control over your loved one with dementia. So I want to talk about the one thing you do always have control over and how you can specifically apply that to caring for your loved one with dementia. Now, if you are thinking that there is nothing you can do to improve your situation in caring for your loved one with dementia, then guess what? You're probably right. And in fact, things may actually get worse. However, if you think to yourself that you are committed to doing the best that you can, regardless of the situation, you're actually more likely to have things go your way. You're more likely for things to be better, for you to feel better, for your loved one to feel better. Now, if you've downloaded my Careblazer Survival Guide, then you know in the Get Your Mind Right chapter, I talk about how your thoughts actually create your mood. So people often think that your situation, whatever situation you're in, that's what causes the emotion. But that's not true. It's your thinking around that situation. The situation happens. You have a thought about that situation. That thought then creates your mood. That mood then impacts your behavior. And your mood and behavior then impacts your loved one's mood and behavior. So essentially, that's the part where you do have some control over your loved one's behavior and how they respond. However, there are some times it just doesn't matter. But the one thing you are always in control of, and that takes some practice and takes some effort and commitment, is your own thoughts. Being in control over your own thoughts can really make the difference between constantly feeling frustrated, constantly feeling like no matter what, it's not worth it, constantly feeling like no matter what you do, things aren't going to improve. The difference between that and the difference between feeling better, the difference between feeling up for the challenge, being able to handle whatever life throws your way, even when it's really difficult and even when they're throwing things in your direction that you don't have control over. Now, just in case you haven't read the Careblazer Survival Guide, I'm going to go over a brief snapshot of the chapter with real-life examples to help you understand more this idea about you being in control of your thoughts and how your thoughts really impact your mood. So if you feel like the thoughts you're having are keeping you down, then stay tuned. Now, if you already downloaded the Careblazer Survival Guide, like thousands of you already have, stick with this. This might be a good refresher just in case you have missed a point or two or you want to make sure that you're using this concept correctly. All right, so for those of you who are thinking, how the heck can changing my thoughts help my situation? How can changing my thoughts have any impact on improving the situation of caring for my loved one? Here we go. I'm about to show you some examples. Here's the situation. Your mom lost her purse again and is yelling that you stole her purse. You have the thought, she's such a liar. I can't believe she has the nerve to accuse me of stealing her purse after everything I do for her. You're feeling pretty angry, and as a result, you snap back at your mother, and the rest of your day is tense with little communication. Your mother chooses not to eat dinner that night. This is scenario number one. Notice the automatic thought that the mother's doing this on purpose, that how dare she feel this way after everything I do for her. Let's take this same situation, but change the thought. Situation is your mom lost her purse again and is yelling that you stole her purse. Your automatic thought is her mind is trying to understand how her purse is missing again. What an awful disease. You're feeling compassion and understanding, and your behavior is that you tell your mother that you love her, that you're going to help her find her purse, and then you two go about doing an activity together. Do you see how the situation was exactly the same for both scenarios, but the thinking that happened in that situation was totally different? In one situation, you're feeling pretty angry, upset, frustrated, and in the second situation, you're feeling more compassion and understanding. Now, which person would you rather be most of the time? Would you rather be that angry, upset person? Would you rather be the one that feels more understanding and more compassionate? The only difference here was the thought that they had. Your thoughts are basically your reality. So if you're having the thought that your dad is purposefully always trying to drive you crazy, then guess what? It's going to seem like he's purposefully always trying to drive you crazy. That in turn is going to make you pretty frustrated, upset, angry, and that's probably going to lead to a cycle of things going negative with you and your loved one. Instead, if you were to think, this disease is really hard and it's really wearing me out, but I understand that. But instead, if you think this disease is really awful, this is really hard, but I understand what's happening here. No, you're not going to feel wonderful like skipping through a meadow of flowers, but it's not going to feel as negative as the previous thought of, this is awful, he's always trying to drive me crazy, right? Does this make sense, Careblazer? We have to be mindful of the way we think. Your thoughts are creating a lot of your emotions. We've talked about this in 2 episodes ago. I'll link to it, where the negative self-talk you have about yourself is keeping you stressed and down and depressed, but we also have to be mindful of the negative thoughts we have about our loved ones with dementia, because that's also only serving to keep you down. When we don't have control over our loved one with dementia, when we can't take away this awful disease from them, we have to keep the one thing we have control of, and that is our thoughts. Now, this doesn't mean you're not going to have negative thoughts. That's not the point. You are. It's going to happen. We all do. We're human. Just want you to continue being mindful. Be aware of those thoughts that are going through your mind, and I want you to try to replace them with more realistic thoughts, less negative thoughts. And if you haven't yet read that full chapter in the Careblazer Survival Guide, I actually give you sample thoughts that you can practice and just put in your mind and use when you need to. Imagine how things would change if you were more in control of your thoughts, if you took an active effort into evaluating your thoughts and not just letting those really negative, toxic thoughts hang out in your mind and just simmer there. How much would this reduce your stress level? I mean, think of it. Do you think you would be just as stressed as ever if your thoughts started to change from being really toxic and negative to being a little bit more understanding, a little bit more balanced, a little bit more realistic? It's not about being positive and tricking ourselves. It's about just being a bit more realistic and a bit more kind. I think that your caregiver stress would go down a bit. I also think this is going to only have a positive impact on you and your loved one with dementia. Now, if you're ready to take more control of your thoughts, to make more control of your situations, and to start living a life that you actually feel good about again, make sure you've signed up to get an alert of when I go live for a caregiver stress care class, where we're going to talk about everything you need to know to start living the life you want without any extra time, money, or help in caring for your loved one with dementia. Again, talking about things that are in your control and talking about realistic ways that you, given your busy life, can actually start to engage in more self-care. You deserve this, Careblazer. You need this. It's time to start making yourself a priority again. Now, I hope that this video was helpful to you. What do you think about this idea that our situations do not create our mood? It's the thinking about those situations that create our mood. I'd love to know your thoughts. Leave it in the comment below, and I'll be back next week.